Sports Network. We have a great show lined up for you today. This is the Panthers Talk podcast on the CRN Sports Podcast platform. Tonight, going to be a little bit NFL draft talk. The Carolina Panthers, as most of you know, went all defense in this one. We're going to have a breakdown of each pick, so make sure you tune in here. It's coming up right after this. Looking for a life insurance company that specializes in what you actually need? Protection. Call Danny today with Symmetry Financial. Danny is certified in all 50 states, which means Symmetry Financial is not limited and has over 30 companies to choose from. Symmetry Financial has proved time and time again their options and pricing is just better than the rest. Give Danny a call today at 828-994-1681 to see how Symmetry Financial can make life simple.
Unforgettables. Nice. This show sponsored by Unforgettables. Unforgettables creates detailed hand-painted baseballs for every baseball fan. Check them out at unforgettables.com.
This is CRN, the Community Radio Network, the voice of the community, the voice of anything sports, and proud to be the voice of the Comets. Follow us at crnsports.org. Now let's get back to the broadcast coverage on CRN. What a night that we have. Good afternoon. Hope you're having a great day. Thank you for spending your evening with us. About 9:02 live here in the studios of CRN Sports Network. This is the Panthers Talk podcast. I am Trey, Snide, and Brandon White joins my way of phone line. Good evening, my friend. How are we doing today?
Doing good, Trey. Hope you are.
You know, we're doing as best as we can. I promise you. Hey, so the Panthers went just a few days ago, obviously, we had the NFL draft, which is so exciting to be able to get out there and do something live. It's so good to be able to talk about something a little bit more than obviously just the pandemic. And I thought the NFL virtual draft for the first time ever, obviously 15.4 million people tuned in for the first night, which is the first round of the NFL draft. Your impressions of the first complete ever in the virtual draft for the NFL?
Well, I think we were all expecting there to be some technical glitches along the way, but other than the Bengals taking way too long with that first pick of theirs, there really weren't any major problems with the draft. And I liked how Roger Goodell kind of got in on the fun about fans booing him during the draft, like brought people on his TV specifically so they could boo him. That was pretty fun. That was pretty fun. I mean, granted, we know Roger Goodell is far from a perfect commissioner, but little moments like that really help promote the atmosphere. Put a smile on people's face too, so to speak, because there's not a whole lot to smile about right now. But I definitely enjoyed watching that draft, and I really enjoyed some moves the Panthers made as well.
No, absolutely. Of course, we're going to get into that as well. Majority of the night, and that's where we're kind of spend most of our night, is talking a little bit about what the Panthers did during the 2020 NFL draft. My overall impressions of the virtual draft, yes, the good thing about the tradition of booing Roger Goodell, the obviously general manager of the NFL, it raised money. It allowed to raise money towards this pandemic. I mean, I think it was over $billion-something. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but over $billion-something was raised for the NFL, and the NFL is going to match it. And so that I thought that was pretty cool of helping solve what we have going on in our world today. But moving on, the Carolina Panthers, obviously number 7th overall pick. If you listened to our podcast just a week ago, the day before the first round of the NFL draft, I was adamant that the Carolina Panthers should and would and could have took Isaiah Simmons out of Clemson. And, of course, everybody knows now that they took Darren Brown. Your first thoughts of the Darren Brown pick?
Well, we kind of went back and forth on this in last week's podcast. Like, you wanted Simmons, I wanted Brown, and, the Panthers wanted Brown too, because with Isaiah Simmons still on the board, they decided that the best move for them was to beef up that defensive line. And we know Isaiah Simmons is a phenomenal athlete. He can play just about any position on the field defense. He could be a linebacker, he could be a safety, and he could be a defensive back. However, Darren Brown was still on the board, and that fills such a huge need for the Panthers on the defensive line because, and I'm sure everyone who's listening to this right now will know, the Carolina Panthers absolutely could not stop the run last year. Once they lost K1 Short and Brian Burns started to slow down because of his hand injury, they had absolutely nothing left they could do to stop the run on defense. And that ended up costing them a whole lot of games. I mean, who knows how many of those games with Kyle Allen under center could have gone another way if they could just stop a running back. So, and we know how important defense is. And I feel confident in this Darren Brown pick. I think he's going to be a phenomenal player for the Carolina Panthers for however long we have him. And I'm looking forward to seeing what him and the rest of the draft class do.
You know, it's not that I didn't like the Darren Brown pick. Don't get me wrong. And I said, look, if they picked him, I was perfectly fine with that because he's a terrific player. Obviously, the best defensive tackle in the game in the NFL draft. But my problem with Darren Brown is you don't know how long you're going to get that from him. Are we going to be able to, or is he going to be able to kind of keep that motor going for 5-6 years, especially for a player that is really just kind of getting his feet wet? And that's what's scary to me. A player that literally didn't start his football career until he was a sophomore in high school. And he didn't even really play when he was a sophomore because he wanted to quit. His mama told him not to quit. We're not quitter in this family. So I was a little bit worried about the continuous motor of Darren Brown. But again, the fact that he's still raw and he can improve, I mean, that's a dangerous combination for Darren Brown. You know, you mix him in with obviously KK, then Burns, then obviously Darren Brown, and then the second round pick in Matos. Oh my goodness. Now, I can see for somehow Matos out of Penn State defensive end fell to the second round. And that was a surprise pick for me because I didn't know he was still going to be there. And I thought we might have gone safety out of there. I would love to pick the jury pick from New England. I thought we were going to go there. But, you know, it's a situation where Matos fell to the Carolina Panthers at pick number 38, slotted in as a first-round pick. I thought the second-round pick was a fantastic selection by the Carolina Panthers.
Same here. I mean, he was still on the board that early in the second round. I mean, the Panthers didn't really have a choice but to take him. They know how talented of a player Gross Matos is, and that solidifies the defensive line, so to speak, because you could put, if we're going 4-3 this year, and from an indication it appears that is what we're going to do, you're going to have veteran K1 Short and Darren Brown in the middle, and you got Brian Bird and potentially Gross Matos lining up on the outside of them. That's a very powerful defensive line right there. And I don't know if that's why we're going to go far away because, you know, Brown and Gross Matos, they need to be worked into the system, but I think that will be what the defensive line looks like for the Panthers once we get settled into the rhythm. And I think that's going to be an issue for running backs like Kamara, Gurley, Ronald Jones to deal with.
You know, it's been so long since we've been able to say that we now expect the Carolina Panthers defensive line to stop their running back. We're so accustomed to seeing running backs really run all day on the Carolina Panthers, and it would defend, obviously, the linebacker situation for the Carolina Panthers to stop the run. Obviously, we had Luke Kuechly, now retired linebacker, the best of all time, in our opinion, obviously. But, you know, you mix in now Darren Brown, Matos. You know, we also went into this draft saying, you know what? The first 3 picks that the Panthers must have in this 2020 draft is 3 starters. Day 1 starters from your top 3 guys. You got that with Darren Brown. You got that with Matos, the defensive end out of Penn State, who fell to the second round for the Carolina Panthers. And it's easy. That's an easy pickup for them in the second round. Now, my favorite pick of the entire draft, in my opinion, we are texting back and forth. The round 2, we traded up for Jeremy Shinn of the safety out of Southern Illinois. I thought this pick was fantastic. We traded up. We gave away the free pick we got from Kyle Allen, who was not going to be a starter on our team anyway. We got it from the Washington Redskins, the 5th round pick. We traded that away. Also traded away a a fifth-rounder and a third-rounder to move up to Jeremy Chin. I thought this pick was fantastic, and the reason why I thought this pick was fantastic, because what they're saying out of Chin, out of Southern Illinois, is he's the exact same player as Isaiah Simmons of Clemson, who I thought we were going to pick, who the Carolina Panthers had a chance to pick at number 7. Obviously, they chose Darren Brown. What is your thoughts about the second round pick, 64, Jeremy Chin?
Well, based on everything I've heard about Jeremy Chin, he's going to be a fine addition to the Carolina Panthers defense. I mean, like you said, he's an Isaiah Simmons type player who can go all over the field, play cornerback, safety, whatever the defense wants him to play. And, the secondary, that needed to be an area to look at too, because I don't have a lot of faith in the lineup that consists of Dante Jackson, Trey Boston, Justin Burris, and Corn Elder. Boston's the only guy in that group I really like. Boston can get the job done. But Dante Jackson got benched at the end of last season. Justin Burris is an unproven free agent signing. And Corn Elder, we need to release Corn Elder.
Yeah.
But we have Jeremy Chin in that secondary now. And Chin, he sounds like he could be the real deal. I've heard a couple of experts say the Panthers got the biggest steal in the draft by signing Jeremy Chin. That alone should tell you what kind of player he is. And I am looking forward to seeing how he impacts this secondary. And I think he will be a day one starter alongside Trey Boston.
Again, Derek Brown, pick number 1, a first or day one starter. Let me get my words out. Day one starter in Derek Brown, defensive tackle out of Auburn. A round 2, pick number 38, Matos, defensive end from Penn State. A day one starter for the Carolina Panthers alongside Brown, Burns, and KK if he can come back healthy. A day one starter in Jeremy Chin at the safety out of Southern Illinois, a player that most experts, obviously we're fans, we're broadcasters for CRN, but we're mostly fans of the Carolina Panthers. They think that this guy's the real deal, a day one starter. Another day one starter who's going to take the place of Cam Elder, potentially, because I think Jackson is a lot better than Elder is, who potentially is going to be the other starter. It all depends on how these other guys, we're going to talk a little bit about that a little bit more. But Troy Brown, the cornerback out of Notre Dame, you talking about the athletes of the NFL know who Troy Brown is. Troy Brown Jr., the cornerback out of Notre Dame. What is your thoughts about Mr. Pride?
Troy Pride, he's a very athletic cornerback. He ran a very fast 40 time. I've heard there are some consistency issues there, but that can obviously be worked out if he has good tutelage, is under a great system. And I do think he if he performs, he can be a day one starter. But with people, though we beat up the secondary, I still think the Panthers need to bring back somebody like Ross Cockrell. And I think having Cockrell in that secondary could be beneficial to Troy Brown, because Cockrell is a guy who's a hard hitter. Mm-hmm. If you need him to tackle, he can tackle, and he's also pretty great in coverage too. So this is where I think the Panthers need to start making some roster moves and bring in a veteran like Cockrell to help Pride along, because Pride is a very athletic person, and there's a lot of potential there that could be exploited. I want the secondary to be as successful as possible, and I think Pride can be that over time. But I don't know if he's ready to be a day one starter just yet. We don't even know if we're going to have training camp this year or not. Training camp would be really helpful to a guy like Troy Pride, but if he performs, I think he can be there one day.
So if we put free agency aside altogether, right, and of course our second half of this show, we are going to get into potential free agent guys that the Carolina Panthers should bring back, already had or was a part of the team, should come back for the Carolina Panthers. But right now, Troy Pride Jr. out of Notre Dame is a better player than Elder. He's a better player than Jackson. So potentially, right there. I mean, so just kind of free agency aside, that's where I'm kind of basing my kind of thinking is with Brown, Matoshin, and Pride right now are better than what we have so far on the defense starting. And so that's where I'm kind of basing off. And, another guy that I'm extremely excited about, maybe you don't quite most of our listeners might not know who he was before he was picked at round 5, pick 152, and Kenny Robertson, the cornerback out of